McGough, building exceptional experiences since 1956. A retrospective of our history and partnership with St. John's Abbey. The project that put us on the map.
It is a long history and something we're very proud of, 60 plus years in business. And I think that the founding partners of the firm established a culture of collaboration and teamwork. Definitely shapes and kind of dictates how we operate today.
My favorite feature about McGough is the fact that there are employees that have worked for the company for many years, and they can regale you with stories of all the projects they've worked on, number one being the Abbey and how proud they are to work for McGough.
Really, what I look at St. John's and I see how this is the cradle of our delivery system, a cradle of an example of a lot of the ideas and the culture that is we try and carry on to the new generations and the new people that come to work with us at McGough. Some of the innovation that comes from this, that spirit of collaboration, all those things had their roots in this project.
Well, you have to go back to the early 1950s. The place was just growing quite rapidly with student population and the monastery population. And it was perfectly clear to everybody that we just needed more space. The Abbot looked for architects interested in doing a comprehensive plan, got a number of applicants, quite distinguished people, including Marcel Breuer, and finally settled on Breuer to do the comprehensive plan. I think that was probably 1953.
At that time, most of the work was bid. Now, as you're well known, almost everything is negotiated. And he said, he knew we'd done some negotiated work, but how did it work? And we said, well, basically what you do is you settle on a fee, and the owner pays the costs, and any savings or what have you go to the owner.
I think when we talk about negotiated delivery, people start to wonder, what does that really mean, and what does that mean to me from a cost standpoint? And the bottom line is, I refer to it as a team approach, team delivery, a team-oriented delivery of a project, whereby, again, all members of the project team agree to be working together to deliver what the owner is looking for, to understand their expectations, and then everybody works hard to exceed those expectations.
Showed them our figures, to be honest, our whole bid, and we had $160,000 in for profit. And we said, well, if we did it on a negotiated job, we'd do it for $60,000. He said, well, then how do we know we're paying the exact cost? And so Charlie and Leo and I talked about it, and we said, well, we're right there on campus. If the university wants to keep all the costs and pay the payrolls and everything else, then they'll know for sure what it costs, why we'll do it for $50,000, which was another $10,000, but you want to remember that's, 60 years ago almost, so that was and that was what we ended up doing. It's the only job in our history that the owner kept the books. And I'd come up and go over them with Father Gervais regularly, literally every week, and go over where we were at and what have you.
You know, there were a number of things that we talk about today that we do, that we formalize and acknowledge as a means and methods type of a procedure that we use, whether it be early procurement of materials or just thinking outside the box for providing collaborative and forward-thinking solutions.
When I was a young boy, you could tell the McGoughs were held this job in very, very important category. I worked in the warehouse then, and if anything was going to St. John's, there was a special jump in their step and they expected that from the rest of us if something was going here. You can look at the building and see the board for concrete that's on there, and that to pour that concrete and get that to look the way it looks in big monolithic pieces without having the pores where it starts and stops show is a real feat. to do the right amount of vibrating and so on. The innovation that they use with the forming of the building of the steel plate, working from the top down. They looked at it and said trying to get those battered walls to tie in at the way they are behind me there. Very tough to do, and that's pouring concrete at a very low slump and getting it to stand up like that. That was very innovative, very interesting at the time.
The McGough people were very helpful in this case with the cost-saving change in the way they were going to support the structure, the formwork that Breuer was impressed with.
Right now we're going through a very deliberate, formalized process of identifying and implementing lean practices throughout the company, everything from waste in the office to means and methods out on the job site. And literally from top to bottom, everything that we do, we're considering and looking to create efficiencies and continuously improve. And really it gets back to the collaborative approach. We want to be the best at what we do and continually improve and bring all the best means and methods to every project that we do. For me, the thing, having been with the firm over 40 years, for me what is interesting about it is, again, I think it's really a formalization or an acknowledgement of something that we've done from the very founding of the firm.
My grandfather used to have a saying that you spend a lot of time thinking about who you might get married to, you better spend some time thinking about who you might work with. And that's been a very important thing. I think that's a hallmark of the firm, is being able to choose good help.
I love working for McGough. Since the day I started, I've had such a huge support system for any questions I have, everything I've learned. Every person involved with McGough, whether it even be the subcontractors I've been lucky enough to work with, or our owners, everyone's just been great. And there is an open communication, constant teamwork. We're helping each other to make sure that we succeed and that we have a wonderful project at the end that we are proud to show off.
Matter of fact, I've told the story different times to show you how successful it was after we finished this job. And I forget the timeline exactly, but we had the shortest negotiation on a job we've ever had. The phone rang one day and it was Father Florian, and he said, we're going to build a prep school and we want to spend X amount and we want to get going. What kind of a fee would you have if we worked on the same basis that we did the church? And I said, well, give me 10 minutes, we'll talk about it and I'll be right back to you. And about 10 minutes later, I called him back and I said, how about a fee of such and such? And he said, that's fine, let's get going. So as I said, that was the shortest negotiation we ever had on a job.
The longevity of the employees tells a story of how awesome McGough is to work for. And it also, for being a new employee, represented something that I truly believe in. It's teamwork at its core. I love that no matter your role, you are just as important in every aspect. I think it's huge that we can all come together and just continue to support one another. And I felt that from day one.
It's certainly true that this church has garnered more attention in recent years than in the past. I think that's because people are beginning to see again what an astonishing marriage of both very good architecture and the incredible skill that McGough Construction Company and all those who worked with McGough on the subcontractors, the carpenters, the steel workers, and all the other people who helped construct this church, that in fact they had to be as creative in the work they did in the construction of the building as the designers had to be. I think there's an appreciation for what it means to have poured this building in place.
You know, my father made sure to tell me that story the summer before he passed away. He said, you need to know how important this project was to McGough and to the history of the firm. and started at the very beginning of the bidding of the project and told me the entire history from bidding and groundbreaking to the completion of the project. Again, resolving issues in a very collaborative manner. But he just felt that it was something that was so important to the history of the firm that it was imperative that the next generation understand the background, the history, and the importance of it. And so that stuck with me.
The opportunity to build St. John's Abbey formed and shaped who McGough is now and for future generations. At the root of McGough's humble inception are core values that ring true today. It's in our DNA.